So today is Sunday, and usually on Sundays I like to prep for the work week. So right now I just got back from doing a bunch of errands, and it's it's like 1 in the afternoon, so it's still pretty early. So I do want to do some food prepping and whatnot for the work week, or else I notice that I'll just get fast food, and that's not good. So I'm going to do some meal prepping and just some tidying up or whatever. So really just a Sunday reset to, start the work week good. So let's get into that video. The first thing I'm doing is preheating the oven for some sweet potatoes I have. I'm just gonna go ahead and peel those and chop those up and pop them on a pan and put them in the oven for about 30 minutes. I love sweet potato, and I tried a new way to prep them this time, which you'll see in a minute. The olive oil is standard whenever I do sweet potato. Even the cinnamon I'll do sometimes, but adding the maple syrup was so good, and I added just a sprinkle of brown sugar, and you guys, I am addicted to this recipe now. So now we are moving on into making white rice. I do typically rinse my rice before throwing it in the pot. I do think it makes a difference. And now I have some chicken breast that I'm just seasoning up. I just did a simple seasoning of some black pepper, some adobo. I think I added some salt and a few chili pepper flakes. And I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that on the pan. I sprayed some coconut oil spray and just grill those up. My water for the rice came to a boil, so now I'm just adding the rinsed rice in and just gonna go ahead and swirl that around, and then I just pop a lid on there and wait for it to fluff up. This week I was craving a pot roast for some reason, and I never make pot roast, so I was excited to try this in the slow cooker. I do rinse my meat, unpopular opinion, everyone does their own thing, but that's just what I grew up with. I've always seen my mom rinse her meat, so I do that too. So now I'm going in and seasoning the meat, and my only tip here is when you think that you did enough, do a little more. Now that all the seasonings are on, I'm just massaging it in and searing all the sides in the pan. And then I cut up some onions, and I'm just sauteing those as well before throwing everything in the crock pot. As you see here, I put the meat in the crock pot, and then I added the onions, and now I'm adding some beef broth, which I think gave it quite a bit of flavor. And I'm just setting it on high since it was kind of later in the day for 4 hours. We are now moving on to making a little marinade for some lamb chops. This was my first time cooking lamb chops. I always order it while I'm out, but you're gonna see me struggle in a little bit here. So I added some rosemary, some Scotch bonnet pepper for a little spice, some olive oil and garlic. And then I was struggling with the blender because for some reason it just would not blend, and I think it's because there was not enough in there for the blades to really get it in. So I really struggled with this, but in the end it did turn out good. I just rinsed my lamb chops, and I'm gonna go ahead and pat them dry, and I'm adding the marinade in there and going to cover it with saran wrap, and I left it in the fridge for about an hour. The lamb chops were ready, and I put them on a really hot pan, and these cook really quick, and they are easy to overcook, so that is one thing you have to be careful with. And this is how they turned out. They were so good. I'm definitely going to make that more. And now my rice, it is completely finished. It's nice and fluffy, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in a few bowls. It's been about 5 hours now since I first threw the chuck roast in, and it was tender enough. So I took all the juices out to throw in a pot. And what I'm going to do is put this pot on the stove and add a little cornstarch. I don't like using cornstarch too much, but I just decided to use it here to thicken the sauce up. And as you can see here, the sauce definitely thickened up to a consistency that I like. Now that everything is done, I'm just kind of shredding it and putting it in some Tupperware. Now I'm adding the gravy to the Tupperware, and there was definitely leftover, which I'm happy with because it was really good. So this is everything that I cooked for the week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please go ahead and subscribe down below, and I'll see you next time.